What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we are here to finally do our recap for our first ever Full Terror Assault. I believe this was number 8 overall for them.
So, yeah.
Our first one, so we went in fresh, and yeah, this was honestly, I think, one of the wildest concert experiences, at least in terms of festivals, that I have ever had.
Not that we've been to a whole lot of festivals either. I think outside of this, we've only been to MDF, so...
yeah, well, some smaller fests here and there. I mean,
yeah,
Heavy Hell,
yep, that counts. But a solely outdoor festival for 3 days, 4 days in total for most people. 3 days for us because we don't camp, although we're thinking about getting a cabin next time. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, outdoor festival and just fucking crazy, dude. I'm beside myself.
It was rife with killer bands, hilarious activities, copious amounts of drinking. This was probably the most inebriated crowd I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was pure fucking fun. And this was like a big undertaking for us because, I mean, with MDF, we take flights because I hate long drives. But since this place is in Cave-In Rock, technically.
Which is in the middle of nowhere.
Population 350, even though I only saw about 8 people there. I think they're counting everyone in the cemetery, too. Yeah, there's no airport. I mean, like, the main drag into town dead ends into the Ohio River, and then you have to take a ferry across the Ohio River to get to Kentucky, where it didn't look like there was much on the other side either. But honestly, the journey was fun. We ended up leaving here a little bit after, noon? Maybe 1?
Like 1 p.m. or something. Yeah.
And, yeah, beat feet through Indiana, got stuck in Indianapolis traffic. Though before we did get to Indianapolis and started hating everyone that lived there for driving slow and all the construction, we did stop at a really cool diner off of, I believe, 69 at that point.
I think so, yeah.
And it had a giant metal chicken outside.
Yep, and if you follow either our Facebook or our Instagram, you saw the picture of said giant metal chicken. Food was good. I don't remember for the life of me what that place was called, but when I posted the picture, someone else posted a picture also with that giant metal chicken. So if you're in Indiana or from around there, chances are you know where and what that place is called.
Giant chicken place. That should be the name of it.
It should be.
That's the thing I spied from the highway is like, I see restaurants, I see a giant chicken. Let's stop there.
Eat at Giant Cocks.
There you go. Eat a cock. No, that's not the name of it.
That's a missed marketing opportunity right there.
I don't know if they're going to get the demographic they necessarily want in that very rural part of Indiana.
I mean, it's a truck stop, though, too, so it is altogether possible that there was cock eating going on there.
Who knows?
I don't know, but I have worked at a truck stop, and yeah, no.
So anyway, getting through Indiana, getting through Indianapolis, and yeah, pretty much just an insanely long drive that I tried to move at the highest speeds allowed up until the point we found an undercover, like, unmarked fucking car in front of us. Like, fuck, now I have to actually do the speed limit. And yeah, it was pretty much a long train of cars behind this one car that everyone knew was a cop. So you might as well just have had cops spray paint on the side of the fucking car.
For like 50 miles, we passed the same 5 people over and over again. You'd see like they'd start to get like, all right, fuck this guy, and they'd move to edge ahead of him. They were like, no, they dialed back. And
oh, dude.
I mean, at least for that cop, he was moving well beyond the speed limit, even through the construction zone. So I let it go.
I had to slow down to 80, which is still speeding. So, yeah. But it was funny just watching people get pissed off and try to zoom past everyone and then, pump the brakes. So like, oh shit, that's why they're all going slow and staying behind this dude. But yeah, most of this was highway, but when we got off the highway where not only our cell phone signal started disappearing, so did civilization. Yeah, that was a long leg of the journey.
After we passed Evansville, Indiana, shortly before crossing into Illinois, civilization just kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, okay, well maybe, maybe there's just nothing right here. I mean, I used to live in a pretty rural area myself, and so I thought maybe, it dropped off and maybe we'd run into another town.
I think the last bit of civilization I saw was a pair of Amish people. They were going across an overpass in their buggy and horse. Amishai. I don't know what the plural is for them. But after that, like, dude, it was just miles of nothing.
Barren. Like...
Well, corn.
Yeah. But, I mean, around then is when our cell phone service started to waver, too. I looked down at my phone one point and went, I have 1 bar. What do you have?
1 bar.
1 bar. Great.
Just enough to keep the GPS going.
And looking back on it now, there is a small town in Illinois that's about, 60 miles outside of Cave In Rock called Carmi. And they have, a gas station and a Walmart and a Pizza Hut and, some other shit. And had I known that that was going to be the last bit of civilization until we hit our destination, I would have stopped.
Yeah.
We would have got something.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah. I think we passed through maybe one other town before we got to Cave In Rock, but it was dark and it didn't look like any people lived there. So we didn't stop. But we eventually got to Cave In Rock, which when we got there, it looked like a ghost town. Like there were a couple of lights like in the street and a blinking stoplight. And that was it. Like, this town looked flat out abandoned. But driving through there, we had to make one turn onto Main Street, where everything happens in Cave Rock, I guess. And then that kind of just segued into the state park for Cave In Rock. And then behind that was a neighborhood of just like riverside houses. And that is when the GPS just decided to completely shit itself and give up and just say, fuck it, you're there. When we weren't.
We were not there. You ever seen Wrong Turn? Where they kind of drive off aimlessly into the wilderness, and then, the premise really of any horror movie. You drive off into the wilderness, you end up at some creepy gas station, and then some guy comes out with a chainsaw, and, that's it. I had those vibes. As we were searching for our Airbnb, we ended up back off the even main drag into the state park at the time, it's funny, at the time, we were there. We just didn't know we were there.
Yeah, because the GPS didn't let us know. Like, no, still keep going on into the darkness. There's probably bears out there. Enjoy being mauled.
Yep, we turned down a road, and I said to Nick, I don't think this is where we're supposed to be. And it was foggy.
Oh,
it was foggy and shitty because it's right on the water. So, you can't see anything. It's dark as fuck. And there's no cell phone service. There's no GPS. So we had to drive back up the road into what we thought might have been a ranger station. It turned out to be the restaurant we ate at the day after. But, we pulled up there. We ended up calling Booking.com. They eventually transferred us to the property owner who was like, she's like, really, you guys are almost there. We were like, where? Eventually we found the house.
The lady was so kind. Like, she said, I'm not going to get off the phone until I make sure you're there. Like, she had like the sweetest southern accent. She was like super kind, and we did eventually find it. And it was a really nice property. Like,
beautiful.
Yeah, overlooked the Ohio River, and we passed this strange landmark of a house multiple times. Like, what the fuck is going on there? Like, big masonry stone wall, and we'll get to that in a moment. But we settled in. We were outside, having a cigarette, taking in the scenery, watching a storm in Kentucky, which we could see like the whole anvil and everything, and lightning shooting out of it.
It was pretty rad,
pretty fucking cool.
And the sky overhead of us, because that storm wasn't directly like over us. The sky over us was huge and full of the most stars I think I've ever seen, because we were so far out in the middle of nowhere. There was no like industrial noise, there was no traffic, there was no nothing, and it just huge.
But as we were standing out, a gentleman pulled up coming home from a long day at work, and he just happened to strike up a conversation with us, and pretty much instantly just pegs like, you guys are here for that crazy metal fest, aren't you? I was like, oh yeah.
Yes, we are.
And we ended up having like a really cool conversation with him. He actually told us about seeing like Anthrax in 1984 or 1985.
Yep.
Like, dude, that's fucking sweet. And, told us about the whole area and how quiet it is, and, how the festival grounds are really wild. And interestingly enough, I thought he kind of sounded like Donnie Baker from Bob and Tom. And what's really weird is I found out that Donnie Baker had died from the guy that sounded like Donnie Baker.
Yeah, during that conversation we had with him, because we ended up talk about all sorts of shit. Again, really nice guy. Talked to us for a long time, but we ended up talking about Donnie Baker and Bob and Tom, and he was like, "Oh, did you know Donnie Baker passed away?" And we were like, "What?"
Swear to God, man.
But
State law.
But the voice of Donnie Baker lives on in that man.
Yeah, 100%. You sound just like him. But we started asking questions about the property, like kind of catty-corner us, because this is one of the weirdest looking houses I have ever seen. And there's definitely a photo aid right above me right now, because this is an architectural marvel of sorts.
Yeah, no right angles on the house. And
Except for like the windows and the
house was a pretty decent size, too. It spanned quite a large portion of the street. It just seemed to go on for quite some time. But yeah, no right angles in the house. And if you see this picture that's up above you, like it's fucking weird.
It's fucking weird.
And I wish we could have gotten in there, because as he went on with the story, the previous owner of that house was a psychiatrist who eventually kind of lost his shit.
Yeah, he was playing saxophone naked in his house, which, you know, it sounds like fun.
He said he'd walk around the property, because you got to remember, this property is fenced in by a giant 8-foot, 9-foot tall stone wall that wraps the circumference of the property. Like, it's huge. Anyway, when that guy died, he was buried on the property.
There's a mausoleum
There's
in the front yard.
There's a mausoleum in the front yard. And they had such a rough time selling it. It was on the market for quite some time. They wanted some astronomical amount of money for it, like $2-3 million or something like that. And they couldn't sell it because it's a pretty hard selling point to sell a property with a dead body in the front of it. But
yeah, you got to disclose that sort of information.
Yes, so the house ended up selling for like $300,000 or something, way below asking price. And the lady that bought it is the owner of the local internet for that area. So
yeah, this was all the stuff we found out like late at night, right before we went to bed.
Right.
And we're like, wow, that was a lot of information to take in on an already really long fucking journey. So we ended up crashing. I ended up getting up like super early, you know, just kind of checking out the whole scenery. It was absolutely beautiful in the daylight. So we decided, since the bands didn't go on till like 2:45 that day,
something like that,
we had time to actually, well, check out the town a little bit, or at least get a bite to eat. So we went to the place that we thought was a ranger station, and they had some really awesome food. And I noticed a theme like right away. There's a lot of Davy Crockett stuff in there. Like Davy Crockett, like the 1962 Disney movie that I think most kids my age probably watched.
I'm betting. I mean, I watched it as a kid.
It was something like Wonderful World of Disney and all that horse shit back then.
Yep.
But there was a lot of it in there. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then the waitress kindly informed us, like, oh, no, it was like some of it was shot here. In fact, some of it was shot in the cave. And we had totally forgot. I was like, oh, yeah, there's like supposed to be like a massive cave here.
Because it's cave-in rock.
Otherwise, they just named it over fucking nothing. So we decided after eating, we're going to check out the cave. And holy shit, this cave's fucking awesome.
Massive.
I mean, you'll be seeing some shots above us because I took some pictures. He took some pictures.
I took some video, but I mean, you won't see that. But I mean, we took pictures, and it pretty fucking incredible.
The crevice in the top of the cave where the light pours in, I swear every fucking metal band should get their like photos done there, because it just has that perfect cavernous vibe. If you're a cavernous death metal band, this is the cavern.
Looking at you, Mortiferum.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where every gurgle fucking just festers and oozes out. Like, it's just got great acoustics. It's huge. It opens up in this big grotto. But yeah, the cave was awesome. So we decided to get on the road and stop at a local grocery store / restaurant. Yeah, I mean, it was mostly just to get like Gatorade and such.
Which is because that's mostly what they sold. Like, it was... Somebody told us it was like a little grocery thing. Not so much. More the restaurant and some Gatorade and some chips. Yeah, and that's about it. And legit, that was the only place within that area. You had to go 11 miles down the road to Elizabethtown, like, to get to anything. There's just straight fucking nothing.
A gas station. A gas station was 11 miles away.
Yep.
But luckily I filled up in, like, another town that actually had a gas station, electricity, internet, all that stuff that most towns, I think, should have. Anyway, we headed down to the main drag that took us to the festival grounds, which was called Hog Rock. And this went down some very sketchy back roads, like lots of blind turns and hills.
Like straight up Deliverance.
It was just, like, difficult to navigate because, again, blind turns, hills, then the GPS, which was doing fine up until, like, we went a little bit further in on this little section, and then it just completely gave up and said, fuck it, you might not be on the planet right now. Either way, I don't care. Stupid humans, that's your fault. But we managed to find the signs that said FTA.
Yep.
And then we came around, and it opened up into this big campground. And as soon as we got there, we had to sign waivers, which is a first for me.
Yeah, I've never signed it. Well, did we sign anything at MDF?
I don't think
last
so.
year? Yeah. Never signed waivers to get into a festival anyway. And I just want to make a small addendum. This was the furthest out in the middle of nowhere I've ever been ever.
I haven't...
Like, ever.
I haven't been that far out in the middle of nowhere since, my mom sent me out to, like, summer camp. And
yeah.
Weirdly enough, the last summer camp my mom sent me out to, the lake was called Crystal Lake. I swear to God she was setting me up. So anyway, we kind of navigated around, found a place to park, kind of walked around, took in the scenery, and I was like, all right, man, everyone's got, like, camps here. There was one camp called Camp Fulltard, which is like, hey, that sounds like the summer camp Mom sent me to.
You'll see the picture up there above.
It was pretty hilarious. And, yeah, this crowd was eclectic. But, yeah, it goes down this hill, and then, boom, you're into the festival grounds, massive stage, covered area with a bar, another covered area with merch. There were vendors around. There were, like, food vendors around, too. So you got...
And the food was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. I've eaten a lot of festival food in my life. I mean, look at me. I've eaten a lot of bullshit, but this festival food was delightful. We'll get into that more later. But it was fucking good.
Yeah, we kind of just roamed around, kind of took it all in, and I remembered what the gentleman the night before said about, like, oh, if you smell something like rotten cucumbers, that means there's copperheads, so, stay away from them. Yep. Also got rattlesnakes.
Yep, copperheads and rattlesnakes, that was a thing. And he was talking about, like, how some chick went missing in the woods a few, years prior and ended up getting bit by a snake. And
apparently they had, like, Festival of the Juggalos or some horse shit there, and, like, someone died, too. I don't know. You hear stories. But, the crowd itself was fucking just eclectic. Everyone was, like, dressed up. There was a person in... like a full Mr. Bodysuit. You remember Mr. Body? Like, it was wearing a Mr. Bodysuit. And that person changed Mr. Bodysuits throughout the fest. Like, one time it was, like, blue. Then another time it was, like, red. I swear this person was trying to disguise themselves as, like, every Tool album cover.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yep, very Lateralus. Yep. Yeah, they had a guy in a chicken costume. Just a wild... crazy eclectic crowd, and everybody was drunk already. And it was 2:45, and, like...
they've been drunk the night before.
Yeah, like, we were sober throughout most of the fest. I didn't have a single drop of alcohol whatsoever.
Neither.
I don't think you did either. I had some salad in the morning, but really, we were probably the most sober, if not the soberest people at that fest. I've seen a lot, and... these people just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. Some chick came around and gave us a little bottle of liquor.
Like, here you go.
They very, very nice people. Yeah. Like there wasn't really any issue until the last day towards the end. We'll get into that. But very nice crowd, just hammered.
Oh, yeah. So because we were, like, searching around for a parking space, we did miss the first band, Frontal Assault. I'm reasonably sure they played. Again, we were kind of far enough that we couldn't necessarily hear if they were actually playing or not, but we didn't get a chance to check them out, so I don't have anything to say about them.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, literally the first people we saw that we knew as soon as we got there were the dudes from Mutilation Barbecue, and Chris was looking pretty haggard. In fact, someone wrote him some messages in Sharpie on his chest. I think it was a note from a dude called Cumboy or something. But it was pretty hilarious. But yeah, we didn't get to see the first band, but the next band on.
Next band, Warhead. Everybody told us that the front man of that band sounded like Dave Mustaine. They were a thrash band, of course, and he 100% sounded like Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, I mean, tight, very aggressive thrash, like lots of like Exodus vibes, like just aggressive. They kind of just bullet train through their set and just fuck shit up. It's a good way to start off. It was a high energy show. They had, a solid sound, good leads, but yeah, dude definitely sounds like Dave Mustaine.
100%.
Next up was Devangelis, which is a band that I really wasn't familiar with. More of a straightforward, like brutal death metal. I guess you could say like kind of deathcore-ish, like a lot of breakdowns, very pummeling and heavy. Now, it's important to note, like, the first day, I think they were still kind of tweaking the sound because there was a lot of issues where the vocals came off very loud, and then sometimes the guitars would sound, much quieter, and then the drums would also be, like, super loud. So, in terms of, like, getting level set, like, the first day felt, like, a little bit off at first, and this band did not benefit them because the vocals were just obscenely loud.
Yes.
And not a lot of reverb on them. They were just kind of dry. And then, the drums sound loud. So the guitars and bass kind of turned into mud. But, I mean, overall, they sounded pretty good. Like, they were just straightforward, death metal, brutal death metal, deathcore. Like, it's just kind of that sort of hybrid.
Yeah, they were good. I'm really upset. I, again, was ill-prepared in a sense. I didn't get much video from the first day, and I feel bad about that because there were some real bangers. Most notably, the next band up on the bill, Necessary Death. I'd never heard of those guys before that moment, although the bassist in Necessary Death is also in the band Severed Head Shop, Ian from Severed Head Shop. And I wish I had known that, because Ian and I have spoken many times. And it's brutally obvious that neither one of us bothered to look at pictures to see who the hell each other were, because I would have known. But Necessary Death whooped ass.
My first band that I was like, dude, this band absolutely fucking crushes. Like, Warhead was solid. I thought Devangelis was, decent too, but this band just came in and crushed. Like, a mix of just crust and grindcore and a little bit of brutal death metal. It was unbelievably heavy. Got to run into them, talk to their members, and I told them, hey, you guys remind me a lot of Disrupt, which Disrupt's Unrest is just such an awesome album. They're like, oh, dude, that's like one of our favorite fucking bands.
Yep.
And yeah, we actually ended up like talking to those dudes a lot. They were all over the fest. Super fucking nice guys.
Yeah.
I ended up kind of buying their EP or demo.
As did I.
They pretty much, just like, you can just have it. It was like, yeah, we're terrible salesmen. I was like, well, I'm going to give you money for like the gas tank at least, man.
Yeah, I ended up doing the same. They were like, it's free. And I was like, no, it's not. Here's $5. Even if it is free, that's great. But we're all about supporting people and musicians and bands and whatnot.
Yeah, even if it's buying the gas tank.
Gas is expensive. Here you go. I'm not taking this for free. Thank you, but I'm not taking this for free.
Go buy some of the awesome fucking fair food too.
Yeah. Yep.
But they were absolutely awesome. I fucking love this band, and I didn't bring all the CDs that I got because this video would be insanely long, which it probably already will be. But I will cover them all in a collection update. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that Necessary Death one. Next up after that was Black Knife. And I had been very excited to see this band. I've heard nothing but good things. I didn't get any of their stuff, sadly. But this band whoops ass. It is blackened thrash metal, very midnight-ish. Like, everything is almost always D-beat driven. The riffs are kind of gnarly and just kind of sizzly, and that band was just pure fucking fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them too. And again, I wish I would have got some video, but I fucked up and didn't, so.
Dude, lots of Dark Throne vibes, like later Dark Throne, like the sleazy playing rock riffs in a black metal way sort of vibe. I'm definitely going to find some of their stuff. In fact, I believe they have a new album coming out on Wise Blood Records. So that's where to get that if you're also looking for a new Black Knife album.
Next up was something I've never seen ever. In fact, it was the first one I think they said they ever did too, so really nobody had ever seen anything like this. The Full Terror Assault Ninja Contest. So, what the Ninja Contest was is they found 10 people, and possibly 10 very drunk people it seemed, to go through a makeshift ninja course. So what it was, they had a guy start at the top of a hill, and he would go down a water slide into a pool of what looked like fucking garbage water and semen.
It was liquid.
Pretty rank. Anyway, so they gotta go down this hill in a water slide and then dive into this pool full of bullshit and pick out a shot of Fireball and then drink that shot of Fireball and then army crawl through this like little makeshift thing that had, you know, like string or something over top of it. Anyway, and everybody that was standing alongside of that got to dump a beer on them as they crawled.
And debase them.
And then debase them. And then after they got out of there, they got to a table where they were given a straw and they had to drink Bud Light out of an ice cube tray with a straw. That's horrible in itself. After that, they had to take a big rubber ball and bounce it into a garbage can. And then after the garbage can, then they got to do the dizzy bat where you put your face down on a bat and you scoot around it 5 times, which to me sounds fucking terrible anyway, especially after you've had a shot of Fireball and drank a fucking Bud Light from an ice cube tray.
Marty puking.
Yeah. And after the bat, then they had to go to a bike and then ride a bike figure 8 style through a bunch of hula hoops. And then after that, they had to put on a giant Labatt blue can that had armholes through it.
It was PBR.
Maybe, yeah.
It was a beer can.
It was a beer can. And then eat a hot dog as fast as they could while circle pitting around some people, and then that was it.
There was one dude that almost choked, but he powered through.
Yep, that was fucking insane. I've never seen anything like that. Also, probably, quite possibly, the grossest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, we watched from an elevated position, and right in front of us, who was also watching it, was Harley from Cromags.
I mean, like, right in front of me. Like,
yeah.
If I ever post that video, like, he's right in front of me.
Yeah. It was absolutely insane and absolutely hilarious. I forget who won. It seems like they all kind of lost in a way, or they all kind of won because everyone was having a lot of fun. It was fucking awesome and not the only contest that happened. So after watching a whole bunch of people drunkenly humiliate themselves for our entertainment in glorious fashion, it was back on to the music, and the next band up was Art of Shock, a thrash metal band from, I believe, California. First time I ever heard them, and they were solid. Like, lots of tight guitar work. It was definitely more of a thrashy vibe on the first day, for sure. But these guys had some tight riffs. We actually ran into them, I think, on the second or third day.
I might have been the third day. I think it was the last day, because we ended up running into a bunch of people. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We had a lot of great conversations with a lot of people, and Art of Shock, they were just, like, super cool dudes. We talked about, like, music industry, touring, you know, thrash metal, the evolution of metal. Like, conversations I fucking live for. But yeah, they had a solid, interesting mix of clean vocals and harsh vocals. Like, occasionally there were some, like, almost more death metal moments in their music. Really interesting band, and I actually ended up getting one of their CDs, so I'll be going over that in a future collection update as well.
And then after that, we saw the band Brat.
Second time for me.
Yep, second time for me as well.
Yeah.
We saw them in Toledo here with Maul a few months ago.
Yeah.
Female-fronted band, little short chick, cutest little thing, cute as a button. So you would never, ever guess that they were a grind. I guess I'd call them grind.
Power violence. Okay. They have a thing that they do, and it's absolutely amazing. They like to lead in their songs with pop songs. Like, they play like a techno song. She's dancing. She's going to get the crowd to move around. And they segue into, like, grindcore. And she goes from, like, just poppy, like, yeah, she's
having
smiling,
a good time,
to just, like, just growling her guts out and playing these short, vicious, brutal songs.
Yep.
And they're absolutely fucking awesome. I've been hooked on this band. Unfortunately, I don't think they have CDs yet, because I remember asking at the show they played in Toledo. Like, you guys got CDs? Like, not yet. We got tapes. And I was like, man, fucking tapes. Why are you back? But they're absolutely awesome.
Yep. I would recommend at any given time, if you see Brat pull through your area,
go see them.
Go see them, because you're probably never going to ever see anything like this. And don't be thrown off when pop comes on or when techno comes on, because it will get heavy in a very surprising manner. So
yeah. Like, it could not be like more contrasting in terms of the stylistic shift, and it makes for just a thoroughly entertaining set. And yeah, they're heavy. Like, honestly, I would say they're one of the heaviest fucking bands that are on this entire fest when they get down to the heavy sections.
Yeah.
It's definitely a band to check out for damn sure.
And then next up is Weed Eater. Wow.
Second time seeing Weed Eater.
Also second time seeing Weed Eater.
First time we saw him, they opened up for Corrosion Conformity.
And Crowbar.
In Crowbar. And Dixie is a legend in sludge metal. He used to be in Buzz Oven, and his bass tone is one of the loudest but warmest and fuzziest things. This is stoner doom sludge kind of mixed together. It is jammy. It is heavier than hell. And man, that man can put down some liquor. He had a bottle of what looked like maybe Evan Williams, could have been Jack Daniels, but yeah, he just kept filling a cup and was drinking throughout the entire set. And they droned that audience into oblivion with, honestly, a fucking killer set.
I agree. And I remember when we saw him with Crowbar and COC, and I thought they were pretty good then. I think they outdid themselves with the set that they played at FTA. Just tight and punchy and droney and all the wonderful things that I like about Stoner Doom and Sludge, and just, it sounded fucking great. And the mix they had for that set was top notch. Like, it was a good job. They did a good job.
I was actually afraid that, you know, Dixie's bass tone was just gonna chew the fucking PA.
I remember.
Like, it was like, dude, that thing is fucking loud, and he's not gonna turn it down because he's Dixie. And, you know, we heard some, like, other legends about his live performances. Oh, yeah, like, you know, drinking on stage, that's nothing. He had one show, I guess he was drinking Dayquil and NyQuil throughout the entire set. One glass separated. Yeah, he was just kind of getting the up and down thing there.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Crazy. And his mic check was probably the most hilarious thing. Like, he just went up there and just started screaming shit. Like, he just yelled, "Mom!" And then "Crack rocks!" And it was like, yeah, no, it sounds good.
And the crowd cheered, of course, because everyone in the crowd by this point was just
Fucked.
foosh-knickered.
Done. But yeah, seeing him in an outdoor venue, I think is the way to go because, man, like, the indoor venue where the reverb just hits you, Weed Eater is super loud. Bring ear protection
Intense.
for that. But yeah, absolutely killer set. Weed Eater fucking crushed. And then the headliner for the first night was Cromags. And I know there are two different versions of Cromags. This is the one that doesn't have to have the addendum. So this is the Harley version with pretty much an entirely new band in there. And Cromags have been a bucket list band for me since I love hardcore. And, you know, it's fucking Cromags or Hardcore Kings. They were, you know, an early crossover band too, and they had an absolutely fantastic set. And yeah, Harley, I forget that he's a really solid bassist. Like, man, like this band had a ton of fucking energy. Like, he was fucking all over the damn place. Like, the stage had a little jutting out, so, you know, the front man can come out or a lead guitarist can come out and shred in your face for a bit. And he was all over there talking to the crowd. In fact, the first thing he asked was, "How many of y'all on mushrooms right now?" And half the crowd raised their hands. And at that point, I was like, nah, that's no. And then I looked at him and I was like, yeah, no, they're all tripping out. This ought to be fun. But their set was fucking great. I don't know who all he has in this band because, well, I mean, if you follow Cromags, you know that band has a really dicey history of fights and legal battles and all that fun shit. And whoever he got for his backing band are solid, especially the lead guitarist.
I agree.
Lead guitarist was smoking.
Yeah, it was also my first time seeing Cromags, and what an experience. They got everybody so hyped, and they were so hyped, and it was so late in the evening, and the crowd was so, you know, like, out of it. Like, they could have got up there and threw fucking rubber bands and a hammer on the stage and everybody would have been at it. But I mean, they were full bore. It was very entertaining.
Dude, the circle pits were fucking nuts. And yeah, there are cages out in the field where people can get in there and dance, or people can climb on them and shake them back and forth till they almost fall, which they had to tell the crowd to stop doing that because, like, yeah,
people almost fell.
You almost knocked them over, and you want to die?
I mean,
I don't want you to die.
They're big, heavy steel cages, dude. If that would have fallen over, there would have been an ambulance.
Oh, yeah. And it would have taken them a long time to get there because, again, we were out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, day one was awesome. We hobbled back to the car, and we had to make this drive back to these back roads at night, and it was so humid that my windshield was fogging up. So that was a really nervous drive.
Well, yeah, because in the daylight, even making blind turns, I mean, you still are moving a little bit, but we were kind of like creeping back. There's no illumination out there, just the lights of the car, and it was pretty unnerving.
No GPS either. So.
We found our way back. We, of course, knew where our Airbnb was this time, got back. Great first day.
Absolutely.
So day 2 rolls around, and of course at this point we know where our Airbnb is. We don't have to make an 8-hour drive into the middle of nowhere. So we decided we were going to drive out of Cave in Rock and go to the little country store 5 miles down the road to get some food. It was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good food. I had a really good, pork cutlet?
I got
what I had that
country
day.
fried steak that was banging.
Yep. I think I had the pork cutlet. I don't remember. Anyway, it was really good. So yeah, we leave there and we finally make our way to Hog Rock. And once again, for whatever reason, we missed the first band, which I again apologize for. Autumn Lies Buried.
We heard a lot of good things
Yes.
about the band. Like people said, like, yeah, it was just like kind of vicious, hardcore kind of death metal hybrid band, and they had like just like super heavy riffs. You know, like everyone's just saying, yeah, they were a solid band. So yeah, maybe a band I'll like look into later. But by the time we got there, the first band on that we saw was Pit Lord, and this is. Well, it's a barbecue-themed 2-man death metal project. They have no drummer, but don't worry, they have a smoker on stage. And it was pouring out smoke like a whole grill thing. And then they were both wearing metal-themed barbecue aprons. And it's kind of like Mortician. It's just chunky riffs. And they have barbecue-themed lyrics. And I love silly, over-the-top death metal bands. You know, it's kind of a parody thing, but they write some seriously fucking awesome riffs.
Lead singer sounded straight like Corpse Grinder.
Yep.
Like straight up. But yeah, it was really cool. Actually, they had in the crowd, they had 2 guys manning barbecue grills, and they asked the crowd to go back there and get free burgers and hot dogs, and then to, of course, get in the mosh pit with their burgers, and they were going to take a picture. I don't know, it was pretty fucking cool.
It was crazy. They did it too. I mean, this crowd was like completely loaded. So, you know, they're going to do anything. Like, so the crowd manipulation was pretty fun, and we'll definitely get into that later.
Yep. And then after that was another group that I've never heard of, at least, Bonganator, which turned out to be more death metal than I thought it would be for a band called Bonganator. I was thinking it was going to be another Weed Eater, you know, stoner sludge and doom, but it wasn't. It was fucking death metal. And it was really good.
Fucking loud as hell, dude. Their guitar tone was so crispy and loud, and they just seemed kind of out of it. And we found out why, like about 4 songs in.
Yeah.
The guitarist and frontman, you know, came behind the mic and was like, "Sorry, I'm not really good at talking to people right now. I'm on a lot of acid. Anyway, this next song's called." And yeah, we kind of looked at each other, was like, nah. And then I kind of looked at him on stage, and he's just like, I was like, oh shit, this dude's frying right now. His brain is bubbling.
But somehow still played guitar. Like, if he hadn't said that, I wouldn't have known. But props to that guy for playing a show on acid, because when I've taken hallucinogenics, there's not really functionality.
No, there's literally nothing I can do other than giggle and probably gesture, and then giggle again.
But this guy played a fucking show, so props to that band all around, because there's no way.
Yeah, no, I was kind of transfixed, and I was like, man, way to fucking pull it together. Was the entire band on acid? Maybe it was just him. I don't know. Either way, still, that's a hell of a handicap. So as I said, there were other events there, like the Ninja Course, and the one that I was told about by our buddy Tony Clem, who was one of the guys that helped, put this thing together and run it, was the Grady Chug. And it's as nasty as it sounds. So it's a contest for whoever's crazy enough to sign up for it. What you have to do is first, you chug a shot, bottle of Fireball, because that shit was just all over the damn place.
Yeah, it was flowing like, whiskey was flowing like fucking water.
Or like gravy. Because the next thing you had to do was, I think, chug the light gravy, and then the dark gravy, and then chug an entire full beer. And whoever did it first won a trip to the hospital.
No, the winner of that got, I think, $50 cash. But then, as if that wasn't gross enough to begin with, they said anybody that pukes it back up gets $25. And so everybody rammed their fingers down their throat and puked gravy.
Just puke everywhere.
Oh my God.
There were some good sized pukes too. Like flat out, like there were a couple. I was like, listen, give that one $30 because that was a good puke. They got it all out.
And I want to say too, I used to be really kind of grossed out by watching people puke, but I watched so many people puke at that fest that I think I'm okay now.
Dude, there was like 10, 15 people involved. That was a lot of puke.
And then immediately after that event, so you got a whole bunch of people that are half drunk, full of gravy, and puking. Immediately after that, the band Hemorrhage played, but they played in a bus. Like right behind where everybody was chugging gravy and violently puking.
Yeah. They just kind of like opened up the windows and the singer, I think, was in one of the doorways. They played directly out of it. And they sounded really good. Like kind of like a thrashy hardcore band, like just violent
Punk,
D-beat shit. Yeah, very, very punky. I wanted to get some of their stuff, but I couldn't, find them later, and then there was like a ton of bands to check out. I want to say I did see one of the members try to fly a kite from the roof of their tour bus.
From the roof of the tour bus, but the real kicker was there was no wind.
No wind.
Whatsoever. So you get dudes standing on top of the bus trying to hawk this kite into the air, and it's just not happening because there's no wind.
Yeah, I mean, good try, though. Good try.
But I mean, in his defense, if he was on anything that the crowd was on, I get it.
He wasn't even on the planet.
No.
After that, Demiser came on and opened up the main stage. I've been wanting to see this band for a while. I have their first album. It fucking rips. And guess what? Their whole set was absolutely fucking magnificent. This is like a more melodic, thrashy version of Goat Whore.
Yeah.
All the songs were super catchy, great lead work. The fucking drummer.
Dude, the drummer. Dude,
wow.
Nice job, man. The drummer was all over the place. Crazy cymbal work, crazy footwork. I was grossly impressed by the drummer.
Every song was high octane and energetic. I swear that Circle Pit really just barely, well, it stopped for a little bit because they had to like recalibrate, realize they'd been moshing in the sun all day at that point. But dude, they had an amazing set. I strongly recommend checking out anything by this band. I think they have a new album coming out on Metal Blade.
I think so too.
If we have time, I definitely want to go over it after that live set because honestly, one of my favorite acts that played the entire fest.
And then after that, we trot back across the field to the second stage, the Failure stage, and Phobophilic goes on. Yeah, this is like my third time seeing Phobophilic. If you haven't seen our review on Phobophilic, go check that out. I rated that record very high.
One of the best death metal albums of 2022.
I tell you what, man, fucking love those guys, and they never put on a bad show. The guitar work from them is just insane.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're a big fan of like Tomb Mold and Blood Incantation, this band will fit right in if you haven't already heard them. I know a lot of people, were big on their album last year, and they should be because it's fucking awesome, and they played an absolutely amazing set. That set was fucking spotless. Like they just absolutely crushed.
Yep, dialed in, and man, if you guys haven't seen Phobophilic, you're missing out.
Yeah,
I would
strongly recommend.
Strongly recommend. They were, out of all the bands, obviously I wanted to see a ton of bands because we like a ton of bands on this lineup, but I was stoked to see Phobophilic, and they did not disappoint.
So after Phobophilic, we went over to the main stage, which is not like a long journey at all, and we went to check out Aries Kingdom, which is a band that I've heard of. I just had never checked out any of their stuff, and they were pretty decent. Like, kind of like a very D-beat, hardcore-ish, like kind of like death metal in spots. It was really kind of hard to like peg their sound. It was definitely heavy. They were a three-piece, lots of chuggy riffs. A lot of the drum beats were like more D-beat oriented, so I guess maybe there's like a little bit of crust in there too. I got a lot of like down-picked riffs.
Yeah. Yep.
And they were pretty solid. It's a band that I've just never checked out before, and I know that they definitely have their fan base because they've been around for like quite a while. Because I think they've been around since at least the 90s.
So after that, we chugged back over to the Failure stage, and I'd been hearing about this band throughout the fest anyway. People have been talking about these guys, like, oh, you got to check out Belushi Speedball.
Crypt from Metalomania loves these dudes.
And I get it.
I get it.
Very entertaining. I've never seen anything like that. The only thing I could readily compare them to, at least, maybe not stylistically, but as far as their show is concerned, like their stage presentation, would be Gwar.
Yeah. Lots of costumes, but this is more like crossover thrash. They even have a song called We Ripped Off Municipal Waste, which was really good, and it did sound like a Municipal Waste song. But they were masters of crowd manipulation. They got the crowd to roll around in the dirt like worms. They said they were a pit of worms now. And I'm reasonably sure with as many hallucinogens as the crowd was on, they probably believed they were worms.
That's fair. Yeah, rolling around in the crowd as worms. And then the band was throwing out water balloons. And then they said that they threw an inflatable swimming pool out in the crowd. And they said that they had, like a 5-gallon bucket or something, or several 5-gallon buckets filled with, like... Beef broth, that they said had been sitting in their tour bus all day in the sun. And they proceeded to spray said beef broth on the crowd and into the swimming pool. Now, granted, everyone's hammered at this point. I don't know if anybody really gave a fuck. But it was really entertaining to watch. Of course, we were not standing close enough to get hit by said broth, mostly because we're pussies and stand back to the edge anyway, so we don't get annihilated in the pit because we're old.
Oh, yeah, there was the whole cocaine. They had, colored powder, like this says, everyone gets cocaine.
What high-energy show would be complete without a bunch of cocaine? And we don't really have some for everybody, but we do. And then they took these fucking bags filled with colored powder and just whipped them out into the crowd, and all you saw was, smoke trails just going. Tons and tons of different colored smoke, and they probably threw 100 bags.
Oh, yeah. So everyone came out of that, pink, purple, and covered in, beef broth and dirt. So, yeah, that was one of the wildest sets. But, yeah, musically, they tore it up. They were fucking fun. Ridiculous, fast, hilarious.
Pretty much akin to Municipal Waste.
Yeah. It was a good fucking time. I'm definitely going to have to check out some Belushi Speedball in terms of getting some of their CDs, because I didn't manage to check out their merch very much. I did see that they had a modded Super NES, and you could play Link to the Past, except you could play characters from the band.
Yeah.
Which was pretty damn
clever.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, so after that, of course, we were... again, standing directly in the sun, and we're old, and at this point in the game, what time was it? Yeah, at this point in the game, it was close to 7 o'clock, and we were like, man, dude, I gotta sit. Went across the field, got some food. Again, the food trucks were on point. All of them, and very reasonably priced too, especially for a festival. I was fully prepared to go in there and pay way too much money for fair food, which
$20 for chicken tenders
happens all the time, but really reasonable priced, very good food. Water was only $1. Pop soda, they were only $1.
Beer was actually cheap too. But
beer was cheap in one of the food trucks because they're in Illinois, where recreational marijuana is legal. One of the food trucks actually would add tincture to food as well if you asked them to, because it was that kind of vibe around the fest the whole weekend. But yeah, very cool. Got some food, and while we're eating food, yet another contest took place.
Air sex contest. So I had an inkling as to what this would be, and I was pretty much right. They pretty much had the crowd judge whether a person could fuck the air really well. It was interesting. Everyone, took a stab at it. They had 20 people. No, 15 maybe. I don't know.
They had a bunch of people. Now, of course, you got to remember, it's starting to push early evening, and everyone's intoxicated. And
now horny.
Yeah, and now horny. But, of course, some, people got up there and just danced, and they were like, no, don't dance, fuck.
Yeah.
And,
that had to be explained several times. No, you're not here to dance. Fuck, get in there and dig in. And it was guys and girls, and It was interesting. There was a dude that was doing like breakdancing and flips and cartwheels, and I think he ended up winning because, I mean, yeah, the dude put up.
Because he had corpse paint on too.
Yeah.
So, like, but I mean, it was exactly that. It was air sex, and it, okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, it was already a strange fest, and yeah, it was just ridiculous.
So, after food and watching people fuck the air, the main stage opened up, and we saw Enforced.
For like the third or fourth time. Amazing band to see live.
Yep. I've seen Enforced a bunch. We've seen Enforced a bunch. We've spoken to those guys a bunch. We, of course, reviewed their albums. We've talked to those guys. I'm friends with Will and Knox. I mean, Enforced rules. Even if I didn't know these guys, the band fucking rules.
One of the most energetic bands, and they did their thing, which, you know, talking to them, they said like they like to try to like beat their set time and play their entire set before they're a lot of times over because they give you no breaks. In fact, Knox was even saying like, you know, just briefly in between songs, like, keep going, we're not stopping. And dude, that set was lightning fast, riffy as fuck, and without an ounce of mercy for anyone in the pit.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. Played some new songs, which, you know, we hadn't got a chance to hear any new songs off the new album yet because we hadn't seen them yet since the album dropped. And yeah, everything they played was just fucking high octane and amazing. So after Enforced set, we went over to the Failure stage, which that's not to say all the bands on that stage were failures. That's actually Failure Records, which I bought some stuff from them. They had a booth and they had some cool stuff that I've been looking for. And, well, I'll get to that later. And the next band up was Deceased. Now, we had just saw Deceased in August at Heavy Hell, and we already knew what we were in for because, man, Deceased, they just fucking rule. The interesting blend of thrash metal, heavy metal, and death metal in these long, elaborate, twisted songs. Mm-hmm. Man, they played an amazing set and some really cool deep cuts too. And dude, it was fantastic. I got to run into King Fowley earlier in the day, shake his hand. That dude is quite an enigmatic frontman. Engaging the crowd. That pit was fucking going too. It was an absolutely intense set, and Deceased rules. Like this band is an underground gem. If you're looking for that perfect sweet spot between all three of those styles I mentioned, go see Deceased because they are that band.
And then up next, back to the main stage, we saw Jungle Rot. We've both seen Jungle Rot
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I don't even know anymore. I've seen Jungle Rot a lot.
Not a complaint. I'm always down to see Jungle Rot.
And this, in my opinion, was one of their better sets that I think I've ever seen them play. Not that they play bad sets. I don't think I've ever seen a bad Jungle Rot show, but they were tight.
Dude, they were fucking on it. Yep. Oh my god, dude, that whole set fucking crushed. Dude, the crowd was definitely feeling it. The chants of old school in between like every fucking song. So much goddamn groove to their set. Yep. Like it is impossible not to headbang to a Jungle Rot set. Like they're just fucking on it. And I would agree. I think it was one of the best sets I've seen from them. And like 4 times. They're Something always tight. Like yeah, they're always fucking fun. So next up was Punch and Stench, or for legal reasons, not necessarily Punch and Stench. I guess the whole band name is still disputed, even though I believe 2 of the original members are in this version of Punch and Stench.
Well, and on stage they said we're Pungent Stench. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll fucking call them Punch and Stench. Punch and Stench is a awesome band that I've been meaning to see. Austrian death metal with a lot of punky vibes. It's kind of thrashy. It's kind of like a lot of dark humor, a lot of sexual humor, and I've been meaning to see this band for years, but again, there was that whole dispute, and they split up and then reformed, and I think their last release is still not counted as an official release. Whatever, they got legal issues. They brought it live. They had this absolutely gnarly guitar tone, which I believe they had to come over with no instruments, and they said that all that shit was like
borrowed from other bands. Yeah, they said they literally had nothing with them. In fact, they almost didn't make it. I guess they had some travel issues. I mean, if you're coming all the way from fucking Austria, obviously, it's not going to be an easy trek. But yeah, they said they had some travel issues. They didn't bring anything with them, and they had to borrow all the equipment. But they still did a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, it was just gnarly, D-beat driven, snarling, old school death metal. And they may not have brought their instruments, but they brought their energy because they had a fucking killer set. Now, we only caught like about a half of it, maybe 3/4 of it because our feet hurt.
Dude.
We wanted more food.
Yep.
And ended up sitting down with Will from Enforce and just chatting up and talking about how crazy this fest was up to this point and how fucking stoked we were to see the headliner because we had been like, gushing about this particular set for a while, like pretty much when we saw the lineup and decided where we're going.
Yeah.
And, who was up next?
Dude, I am Morbid.
We can call it Morbid Angel. I want to call it Morbid Angel.
I want to call it Morbid Angel, too. I'm going to get into that. First of all, Dave Vincent, of course, leading the band. Pete Sandoval, dude. I hadn't seen Pete Sandoval in Morbid Angel since Pantera.
Yeah, 2000.
2000, yeah. So it had been quite some time since I had seen Pete the Feet. Of course, the whole crowd was chanting Pete the Feet. Absolutely killer fucking set.
Now, early in the day, we had actually ran into a gentleman. He was over by the Failure Records or CDN Records. Something like that. Cannibal Cam. Now, for those that don't know, he actually had this death metal documentary project called The Growl. And he was just kind of floating around the crowd. We actually got to talk to him. Super fucking cool dude.
Yep, I agree.
Another person that just had excellent conversations with, and we got to talk to him about that. And I believe that is eventually going to come out. But again, like the pandemic happened, everything fell apart. But amazing fucking dude. And he came by before I Am Morbid. He was like, dude, are you fucking stoked? He's like, you fucking know. I was like, dude, Beat the Feet. And yeah, he was doing his sound check and we could hear him and he's just, the rapid fire turnovers, like, oh my God. And since this year is the 30th anniversary of one brilliant album known as Covenant, they played most of that fucking album.
Yes,
and
they did.
This might go down as one of my favorite Morbid Angel sets that technically isn't Morbid Angel, but spiritually I really feel like it is.
I do too. I really do.
Dude, The Lion's Den, Vengeance is Mine.
Yep.
Of course, God of Emptiness, because, it doesn't matter what version of Morbid Angel you see if they're going to play that song, but fucking Rapture.
And then outside of that, dude, they played Where the Slime Live and Dominate. Of course, Maze of Torment.
Oh.
Just a brilliant fucking set. And
Blessed Are the Sick.
Yeah, Blessed Are the Sick. We were talking right before they started, and they said, I hope they play Dawn of the Angry. And then they sound checked with the riff from Dawn of the Angry.
I heard it.
And I looked at Nick and I said, they're going to play Dawn of the Angry. And they didn't fucking play it.
It's my only complaint.
That was my only complaint. But I said it to Nick while we were there. And I think I've said it on social media too. Hot take, but I really think that lineup is better than the current Morbid Angel, as is now.
Yeah.
I hate to say that.
Same.
But I've seen Morbid Angel. We've seen Morbid Angel, probably 3-4 times in the last few years. And it's been good, but this I Am Morbid set was fucking killer.
Yeah. And, I love the Steve Tucker stuff.
I do too.
Foremost Fatal of the Flesh and Gateways to Annihilation.
I do too.
Magnificent albums. It's just... Well, Trey is not taking good care of himself, and I'm like putting that super lightly. Steve Tucker's an awesome frontman, awesome bassist. He's got a lot of other projects, which I can kind of see why, because Morbid Angel's kind of just floating out there right now.
Do another Warfather album.
Or Malefic Throne. Like, I'd love to see that one again, because, hearing John Longstreth on drums is always cool. But, yeah, like... I felt the same way because this was like the Morbid Angel set I've been wanting for years. Like, Morbid Angel's still good live. It's just, Trey's, it sucks because he's, one of the greatest assets of that band, is one of the most influential guitarists in death metal, but he's also kind of a liability of Morbid Angel here lately, and that sucks. But this set was fucking magical.
Yep.
One of my favorite sets.
I enjoyed every minute. We were pumping our fists and singing along, dude.
Sworn to the Black. Oh my God.
Right.
Every fucking song.
Right. The crowd was all over it. It was killer. And I stand by my statement.
Yeah, and that is how day 2 closed. And right before we left, there was a gentleman that offered us mushrooms, and we're like, fuck, man, I gotta drive, and I don't want to have to play Beat the Clock trying to navigate the wilderness back to our fucking Airbnb.
Because they looked really good. You can usually tell when you look at them. They looked really good, and I don't know if we would have made it back in time, but god damn it, would that have been cool. Which is why we're thinking of getting a cabin next year. But
One of the reasons.
One of the reasons. But, well, who cares?
So on day 3, actually the drive was a little bit easier, picked up a bunch of Gatorade, and we were off to get there early because the first band on was Flesher. Now, Flesher initially wasn't on the bill, I believe, because they were afraid they couldn't make it, but they had an opening, and they legit beat feet from, I think, St. Louis all the way to Cave In Rock.
Paul Brees posted a picture on Facebook that morning. Like, right after I got up, I saw it. They were in the van going 103 miles an hour. So they were literally driving as fast as they could to get to the opening spot, and they made it.
Yeah. And they crushed. Again, we already saw them at Heavy Hell, and we just went over their album. This is merciless, old school death metal, brutal as hell, like that sweet spot between Mortician and Bolt Thrower.
Yep.
Fucking fantastic set, and that's how it kicked off. Like, it kicked off with one of the heaviest fucking bands on the bill, I think.
And you think that record is heavy, you need to see them live, because they're even more heavy live. Paul's guitar tone is fucking gnarly.
Oh my god, dude. And just riffs for fucking days. Like, if you love Chug, this band chugs.
Yep. And I felt bad because we're on day 3, and you got to remember, like, because I've seen people say it on social media, like, well, the crowds look really barren. So at 1:30 in the afternoon, you got to remember that the crowd has been, at this point in the game, mercilessly drunk for 3 days. And so people were slow to stumble out. And, like, it's funny because in the mornings, right, when you go, you get day 2, day 3, like, you see people, instead of walking around chugging whiskey, like, you see just a bunch of people with water just going, ugh.
Yeah.
So, like, I felt bad. The crowd was small, but they didn't give a fuck, man. Flesher fucking destroyed.
Oh, yeah, dude. It was awesome. And, give the crowd a little bit of time to get some actual hydration, because they immediately went right back to pounding beers all day.
Yep.
Because, this crowd was down to party.
And then we trotted across the field yet again. Opening up in the morning was Mutilation Barbecue. Cleveland's own Mutilation Barbecue. We're big fans of these dudes. We've seen Mutilation Barbecue a bunch now.
Great fucking band.
Great fucking band. Great dudes. And they bring it every time.
Every time. And, man, I was kind of surprised. They had been there the entire fest. They had their merch booth set up pretty much every single day. Yep. And they didn't play until Saturday. And they partied. They definitely partied up.
Yeah, day 2, fucking remember we were eating and Chris walked by us and he went, "How you doing?" And he just goes,
like, okay, good talk.
That's an answer. So, yeah.
But yeah, you wouldn't think that, because they came on and they were tight as hell, just fucking bringing it, man. Like, back to back, just ridiculously heavy bands. Saturday just opened up with just ferocity.
Dude, Saturday as a whole fucking destroyed.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, we talked to someone. It might have been Cam, because he says, like, everyone tells me that this fest, there's always just one day that is just absolutely stacked, and it's gnarly as hell, and I think Saturday is that day.
Yep.
So the next band up was Pulchra Morte. I might be saying that dead fucking wrong, but I knew nothing about this band, but looking on stage, I know I recognized one person, and that was Jared Pritchard, who played in Eulogy. He's also an engineer. He also played briefly in Brutality, the one time we saw him at MDF.
Yep.
And then they broke up not too long afterwards. Brutality kind of has a habit of that. I think they're reformed, so they're probably getting ready to break up. But this band was kind of like the more doomy band. Like, a lot of their stuff, I was picking up, like, vibes of, like, My Dying Bride.
Yeah.
A little bit of, like, melodic black metal, kind of mixed in with death metal. Like, it was heavy and dark. Like, honestly, it was probably the most, like, sinister sounding band.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the bands that played were, like, very aggressive. Like, you didn't get a lot of, like, very atmospheric bands. This was that band, and it was kind of an interesting one to kind of break up the lineup, because they were honestly one of the most different bands on there.
Yeah, it went from aggressive and bone-crushingly heavy to this just really cool kind of atmospheric, like you said, kind of blackened death metal doomish thing. I really liked them.
Yeah.
I really fucking liked them. And they never announced who they were. They didn't really talk throughout the set.
No.
Not once did they announce the band name. So after they were done, it took a good probably 15, 20 minutes for us to be able to even figure out who the fuck they were. We had to ask the other bands.
Actually, no, we asked Mike Hamilton because, we ran into Mike Hamilton, Deeds of Flesh, Exhumed drummer, super fucking nice dude. Said, hey, and I was like, dude, all right, do you know who played? I was like, oh, yeah, that's Polkra Marty. Whatever the band is. I'm sorry, I already fucked it up. But he's like, yeah, that's Jared Pritchard's new band. I was like, oh, shit. I thought he looked fucking familiar. And, we ended up, like, shooting the shit with him. But, yeah, this band's really cool. I don't think they had any merch there because they may have been, like, last minute. I didn't see any. But this is a band I definitely want to check out in the future.
Now, as if running into Mike Hamilton wasn't cool enough, and we've run into Mike MDF last year too, I'm still beside myself. So if you guys have watched this channel at all, you know, of course, that Max Cavalera, for whatever reason, really loves us, and we're very thankful for that. Hello, Max. And we were hoping that this was going to be finally our time when we got a meet and greet. What I didn't expect, and what I know Nick didn't surely expect, was while we were at a merch tent looking over CDs, somebody brushed past me and I looked up and it was Igor Cavalera, who took a picture with us. In fact, once he figured out who we were, he was like, oh, you guys are Max's people. And we were like... Oh my God! But he ended up talking to us for a while, and very nice guy.
Super nice dude.
Yep, super nice guy. Was
Drum God.
Yep, Drum God, legend.
Yeah.
More than willing to talk to us, and even more than willing to take a picture. And I am still grossly thankful for that moment. You know, I just never thought that would happen. I just didn't.
it was a wild meeting, and bands were like floating around in the crowd all the time. Like while we were talking to Mike Hamilton, like it was because Exhumed were just floating around checking out
Matt
the
Harvey
bands.
was standing in front of us, and we were like, oh, cool.
So was Raw Sewage wearing a pink feather boa. He's looking fabulous.
So after that moment in time, we trotted back across to the failure stage and caught Rain of Blood. Now, this isn't even really a play on words. If you know what I just said, then you kind of are guessing where it's going.
Bee Gees cover band.
Bee Gees cover band, all the way. That's not who it was. It was a Slayer cover band, and they did a really good job.
A Slayer cover band that actually featured a member of another band that was on there. This was kind of one of the replacement bands. They kind of got last minute because bands had dropped off. This was Landfill from Municipal Waste, also another band that we're going to bring up, also in Cannabis Corpse, doing Slayer covers with Gus Rios, formerly of Malevolent Creation, on drums. And I didn't know it was Gus Rios until Mike Hamilton told me, because he and Mike Hamilton are buddies. Like, holy shit. And yeah, it was just sort of like an impromptu all Slayer set, and yeah, they played fucking awesome Slayer songs. Like, it's Slayer. Of course I'm gonna fucking bang my head. Yeah. They played fucking Jesus Saves, they played Altar of Sacrifice, played South of Heaven. Like, yeah, Slayer classics. Everyone was feeling it. Everyone was fucking moshing to it. Great set. It's fucking Slayer. God, I didn't think I screamed Slayer once. Fuck
you did.
me.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Okay,
halfway through the set,
right.
Nick screamed Slayer, and of course nobody fucking says anything.
Not there.
It's a Slayer cover band.
Yeah, usually, if I yell at like different points, like, in the mall, people tell you to shut up.
In the mall, or most recently at at one of our buddies' bands who play like stoner rock at the county fair, and Nick screamed Slayer.
Yep. You have to scream Slayer.
You gotta scream Slayer.
You gotta scream Slayer.
Next up, back at the main stage, was Insight. We've seen Insight a few times now.
Actually, saw him at Frankie's.
We did see him at Frankie's. Yeah, I remember that. Yep. So we've seen him a couple times. Once very up close and personal, because we talk about Frankie's all the time. Yeah. Small venue.
Actually, I think we talked to Richie Cavalera at that one.
Actually, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid dude. Super fucking nice dude.
Yep.
We got some of their set because at that point we needed to take the hike back to the car, restock on Gatorades, because believe me, we were pounding those in the sunlight.
Yep.
But yeah, they had a solid set. They got the fucking crowd going. Just kind of like straightforward kind of groove metal with a bit of thrash to it. Like, high energy. They had a fun set. Richie definitely knows how to engage the crowd. Like, they just looked like they were having a fucking blast up there. And that's kind of appropriate because I think everyone was having a fucking blast, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah, by this time, we're on day 3. It's the final day. Everyone's foo-schnickered and having a great time.
Oh, yeah, they got back to drinking quick.
Just as it should be, man. Once again, an amazing festival. We were having a great time. The bands were having a great time. The fans were having a great time.
It was a great time.
Yeah, it was a great time.
So next up over the failure stage was Morbicon, which Landfill was doing double duty because this is his black metal project. And it's like legit, like cold, icy riffs, lots of like kind of like immortal sort of vibes. Like it's very fucking riffy. And they were really good, being the only black metal band on the bill, like, more straightforward, just straight up black metal. And playing in the sunlight and, during the day, and it's not cold and it's actually nice out. It's not the black metal aesthetic, but, the frontman had his corpse paint on, and their set was solid. In fact,
I agreed.
I went and I bought their CD, which I'll go over that in a collection update as well. But yeah, they were fucking killer. I had heard a lot about this band, and I just never got around to checking them out, which sucks because, like, anything municipal waste related, I generally check out because generally their side projects are as awesome as municipal waste is.
So then after that, we trot back to the main stage, and I've been asleep on this band for a while. I have known them for a couple random songs here and there, but was never a big fan, I would say, until catching them live. Psycho Stick. You guys are grossly entertaining. First of all, we love humor.
Yeah.
And dark humor at that. And insulting humor and just
stupid humor.
Stupid humor, and that is Psycho Stick. But goddamn it, are they entertaining?
Oh my fucking god! I haven't laughed that loud at a live show in a while. I mean, I laughed a lot at Belushi Speedball too. But man, these guys were on it. They opened up with the world's shortest set. They legit just played like one chord, like "thank you, bye," and then just like walked off the stage, and people were chanting like 7 more songs, 8 more songs, and you just hear them from the side of the stage. No, beat it. Buy a shirt.
Yep.
And then they came back on and then went right into probably one of their most well-known songs, Beer. And believe me, that was the perfect fucking song for this crowd because everyone was just in an uproar and fucking spinning around. And man, this band is just awesome live.
Yep.
Like, hilarious, but super fucking talented, ridiculously tight. They had their skits down, I'd say just about perfect. The stage banter...
Yep.
Dude,
yep.
It was great.
Priceless. If you've never seen Psycho Stick, put aside what you think you may know about this band or whatever preconceived notions you may have. Put it aside and watch these guys. Just entertaining. I much like Nick, have not laughed that hard at a metal show in quite some time, if ever. Very entertaining. The band is tight. They're very talented. I've been sleeping on this band for too long. After we got home, I went through a majority of their discography. I've become a pretty big Psycho Stick fan. Just grossly entertaining. In fact, after they got off stage, before we went and checked out the next band, we ended up in the merch tent walking around and ended up running into their bass player in kind of an odd way. There was a guy that came up to the bass player,
drunk as hell,
drunk out of his mind, an older gentleman. And he was talking about, my son loves you guys. You're the lead singer, right? And he goes, nope, I'm the bass player, no refunds.
They stay in character throughout the entire thing.
The sarcasm is heavy with those guys, and I fucking love it.
And if you want to hear more of their stuff, apparently they are doing the entire score to the Toxic Crusaders beat 'em up game, which, believe me, I was going to download anyway, just because I love arcade beat 'em ups. This is a lot like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that came out a while ago. I downloaded that too, and it was a fucking blast to play.
Yep.
But yeah, they were like super excited about that. I was like, yeah, we get to do like a Toxic, Crusader, Toxic Avenger thing, and that new movie's coming out too. And I still don't know what to make of that, but I'm kind of curious about it because I saw a picture of Peter Dinklage in a mask and a tutu and a suit. I don't know. I don't know.
It's trauma. If you guys are unfamiliar with Citizen Toxie or the Toxic Avenger, Watch a Troma movie.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just watch a Troma movie.
Just anyway, watch Tromeo and Juliet if you can find it.
Terra Firma. I actually have that
Terra
one on
Firma,
DVD.
Yep, I actually have Tromeo and Juliet on both DVD and VHS.
And Tomb's on that soundtrack.
And I have Toxic Avenger on VHS. Anyway, watch that. Go check out Psycho Stick. I'm not kidding you here. It was one of the best times I've had watching a metal band I think ever.
Yeah.
And that's a bold statement, but like it was entertaining. Check out Psycho Stick.
So after that, we went back over to the Failure stage to catch Flesh Hoarder. Now, I've been a fan of this band for a while, namely because their frontman, Nick Moreno. What's up, Nick?
Hey.
Super fucking cool dude. Years ago, he actually sent me his band stuff. He said, hey, I like the channel. Would you mind if I sent you some of my band stuff? And I got a chance to check it out. And they are absolutely savage, brutal death metal. Man, this band reminds me so much of Suffocation.
They love Suffocation.
Oh, dude.
I mean, I talked to Nick for a while, too, after that, and we love Suffocation. Well, no shit.
And we're very similar, not only because both our names are Nicks, but we are big collectors and shit like that. It was just good, like, getting a chance to sit back and BS with them. They had just opened up for Pantera.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. I had to ask, like, how that was, like, playing in front of, like, 7,000 people and shit. I was like, dude, it's intimidating, but it was super cool. It's like, dude, that's a fucking experience right there. But here in their element amongst the the grit and the filth and just the savages, like this was an awesome setting for them. They fucking crushed.
Yep.
Like that was just an absolutely brutal fucking set.
Probably one of the heaviest bands that was on Full Terror, period.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
Them and Flesher.
Yeah.
Mutilation Barbecue.
But there were a lot of heavy bands.
There were a lot of heavy bands, but like they crushed it. They were on point. They didn't miss a beat. Once again, very nice guys. It was awesome to meet Nick in person. Just cool shit.
Yeah.
And so, as if there weren't enough contests already, there was one last final contest. It was the Carlton Dance. If you've ever watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know Alfonso Ribeiro did a dance called the Carlton Dance. It's goofy as fuck. So it was a Carlton Dance / costume contest, which makes more sense because I saw earlier in the day Chris from Mutilation Barbecue running around in a full skin-tight alien costume, which looked ridiculous.
You can see his nads.
Yep. And then there was another guy who ran the hot sauce tent that was in full chainmail and had a sword and just a bunch of there was a guy dressed up in an inflatable dick costume, which I thought was hilarious.
Well, the chainmail thing, that was a Monty Python one because he had the coconuts.
Yep, he had the coconuts too, and when he walked by, he was doing the thing. Yep. Classic. But yeah, they had that contest, and that contest was goofy as fuck. I
mean, it was on par with the rest of the contests. It was hilarious. Everyone was just fucking going nuts. And once again, it kind of speaks to like the whole like vibe of this fest. It's very loose. It's very casual. You just go there and have fucking fun. Like everyone seemed to be like in a really fucking solid mood. I mean, it might have been the drugs.
Yep, it might. But
it was just sort of like a kind of like fun, casual vibe, and like I don't know. I just liked the whole feel of it. So anyway, after that, the next band up was Ingrown, and I can't remember if they're from Idaho or Utah. Either way, they are from a place where you would not think to look for fucking unbelievably heavy, violent hardcore. Like, this is kind of that metallic hardcore where you get the big kind of slammy breakdowns. This band is just a three-piece of just heaviness. The whole set was just gnarly as hell. Just kind of a different energy. We're talking to one of the dudes from Necessary Death, and he was kind of like, man, I really wasn't sure how this crowd would take like the hardcore bands in here like us and Ingrown. I was like, honestly, I think your set went well, and I think Ingrown's will go well too because, it's a different kind of heavy, but it's still heavy, and people are looking for heavy music here to just kind of let loose and fucking rage to, and believe me, Ingrown is that music.
Yeah, I don't get the hardcore hate necessarily because it's still heavy. It's still jam-packed full of breakdowns. You guys that like this deathcore stuff, like hardcore is very, elemental in that, and elemental in heavy metal in itself. Where do you think the breakdown came from? It came from fucking hardcore music.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, the crowd seemed to fucking love them. They had a really solid set. It was nice and violent. We actually got to talk to one of the members. I think it was the drummer. And sadly, once again, they don't have CDs. Hopefully they do a reprint of them. I know you said they were coming out with like vinyl, and I think they were playing the Magic Stick in Detroit.
Yeah, they're playing the Magic, which I didn't even know was open. The Magic Stick is like dormant again for a while too. But I guess the Magic Stick is back open, and I guess Ingrown will be there. So if you're in that area, whenever the hell that happens, check out Ingrown. So after that, I think we ended up snagging some more food because the food is really fucking good.
The queso cheesesteak I got.
I don't remember what I got. Oh, the bubble pizza. I got a bubble cheese pizza thing. It was weird. It was like they had this cheese that was bubbled up, and then underneath it they had a pizza, and I don't know. It was really fucking good. I also want to give out another shout out to City Donut. You guys, all right. There was a vendor there that made these little mini donuts. Like, it was really cool. They did it in front of you. They had this little machine that the donuts would go through, and then this thing would flip them out. Kind of reminded me of the cornballer on Arrested Development, if you've ever seen that. Anyway, flipped out these little mini donuts, and then they put them in a bowl, and they would cover them with all sorts of goodness. The French toast one I got tasted like French toast. It was so good.
Lemon drop, and I got
the lemon drop one you had.
Blueberry
was good.
Muffin. Oh.
Yep, and then I got the s'mores one, and that was phenomenal. City Donut, I don't know where you guys are located. I didn't think to ask, but probably, I'm guessing, within the area there of Illinois, Cave Rock. I don't know, but City Donut, check those guys out. Oh my God, that was so good.
Yeah, that was absolutely fucking amazing.
So after we get done eating, we're back to the headline stage at this point, and we get to see Exhumed. I'm a big Exhumed fan. This guy's a big Exhumed fan. We've seen him a few times now here.
My third time.
It was my second time seeing him. Exhumed never disappoints.
Nope.
And they were, again, 100% on point, and it was a brilliant show. The sound was amazing.
Dude, high energy as fuck. And, I mean, it's Exhumed. They move at 1,000,000 miles an hour. God, the dual leads between Matt Harvey and Sebastian. Like, Sebastian is just a sick fucking guitarist.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, Matt's also just fucking awesome, too. And honestly, he's one of my favorite people in metal. Like, he just sort of embodies the spirit of metal, all his different projects. But Exhumed is the main one that I fucking love. They had an amazing set. They even played their glorious 10-second opus, one of the single greatest moments in music.
Yep.
They lead it up so well. I was waiting for him to say something like, this is better than winning the lottery and having sex with Scarlett Johansson at the same time. And it's called Utter Mutilation of the Corpse. And it's just, 10 seconds of that, and it's amazing. But yeah, their whole set was fucking awesome.
Killer.
Exhumed does not disappoint.
Ever.
And Raw Sewage might have the best low growls in death metal. Like, he's up there on my list. And apparently he knows how to spit fire.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. He spit fire on the stage. That's pretty cool.
Benefits of an outdoor stage, because you're not going to see that in a club. Well, not see that in Survive. So after that, I mean, I'm already fucking geeked because, again, Exhumed tore it up. The next band up was King Parrot, and another band that almost didn't make it there because they're all the way from Australia. And this is, I guess, like grindcore and thrash metal, and they are fast, they are rowdy. They want to drink and fight, I think. Like they were just fucking awesome. Just ridiculous when they came down to the stage banner. They got the entire crowd chanting cunt, which hopefully I'm just going to say it once because YouTube watches me when I say that.
Yes.
But yeah, they got the entire crowd chanting it, and I think they said we may have set a world record here in terms of the word being repeated the most times at a metal show. Hopefully Guinness is watching.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, their set was just loud and nasty. Even the bassist from Psycho Stick is like, dude, you can't miss King Parrot.
Yeah,
Those dudes just bring it.
He was like, get out there. Stop talking to me and get out there. So.
Yeah, I'm not as interesting as King Parrot. I mean, he was interesting, but yeah, King Parrot just fucking ruled. Actually, the first time seeing him, I've been meaning to get some of their stuff, and I probably should have picked up some of their shit there, but I was busy bouncing around getting food and checking out bands, and then periodically checking out merch, and a lot of places to be at once.
Yeah, another shout out to Sabi. He's hard to miss. If you've been to a festival pretty much anywhere, we first ran into this guy at MDF. He sells great quality band merch, all of it. One shirt that I'll show you here in a minute that I thought I would never ever get a hold of. He had a super nice guy, just big tall dude from Bulgaria. You can't miss him. But shout out to Sabi for your amazing merch and your kindness. And he had an open bar. He had bottles of whiskey. He just said, anytime you want to come take a shot, just come see me and we'll do a shot. We never ended up drinking, but yeah, super nice guy.
I'll take you up that next year if you're there.
Yep. I hope you found your jacket.
Yeah.
A big fuck you to whoever stole Sabi's jacket.
That's not cool.
Yep, not cool at all. You don't do that at shows, you piece of shit.
And everything at the show had been really cool except for, that incident, obviously. I mean, they even put it out on the, the stage, like, hey, he's missing his jacket. Whoever get it, just bring it back to him. Like,
They offered a cash reward at the bar. They even offered to keep it anonymous. We won't press charges. Nobody will say anything. Just bring it back. We'll give a cash reward. I don't know if they ever found his jacket, but that shit's not cool.
I hope they did.
Don't fucking do that. I really hope they did.
But yeah, that wasn't the only thing that happened. And this is right before the whole festival ends. There was a fight after King Parrot because apparently someone freaked out in the pit and got in a fight with another dude. And turns out the guy that looks like he was instigating it, I don't know, maybe, but we heard shouts of, I'm from Detroit. And we had recognized a couple of people from Detroit in the crowd.
We think we know who it is, actually, and we're gonna find out because we're gonna end up at that venue here very shortly. And I won't name drop it on this video, but we think we know who it is, and that's unfortunate. And because really up until then, and you'd think with a crowd that drunk, you'd think there would be more bullshit. But it was a very, family-oriented thing.
Yeah.
Like, everybody just seemed super nice, and there was no trouble until that moment. So.
Yeah. Every conversation I had with anyone there was really fucking good. Like, everyone was super cool. It felt very welcoming. And, that was just kind of a blemish because that happened legit before the headliner.
Yep.
And the headliner...
Cavalera Conspiracy.
Or Cavalera. I don't know what they're going by.
I don't know what they're going by either, but Cavalera was there, and, of course, we're big Cavalera fans. They sounded amazing, just like I knew they would. They went through, of course, the Bestial Devastations and Morbid Visions to commemorate the release or re-release, re-recordings, whatever, that we went over.
They're amazing.
Super awesome. They're amazing. They even pulled out Refuse Resist and Territory.
30-year anniversary for that album, too.
Yep, that was super cool, but a great set. We saw them do it at MDF the year prior, and it was great there, too.
Now, when we saw them at MDF, they actually had Daniel Gonzalez, Possessed. I believe he plays in Apsu, too. They had a different guitarist on this tour. His name was Travis. I can't remember his last name, but man, that dude has got some killer chops. And on bass, we had Amadeus. And it was just kind of cool seeing this whole family affair because we got 3 Cavaleras on stage at the same time.
Right.
That's pretty awesome. And man, hearing Igor do all that drum work live, like the open, concert tom sound, the big rolls and shit. Like, dude, they sounded so fucking good. And they closed the set with a surprise because even the promoters didn't know they were going to do a little surprise close. They closed it with Escape to the Void, which fucking slayed. It was like one of my favorite songs on Schizophrenia.
Yep.
Amazing set. And we were trying to see if we could meet Max, but unfortunately it didn't happen. I get it, man. They were on the road. They're doing that full tour.
And it was late, dude. By the time they got off stage, it was probably 12:15 at night. So, I get it. A cool, I think, closer, though, as we were walking back, and we passed the bar. The bar's, dead smack in the middle of everything. You get the stage, and then the bar that's, 100 feet back from the stage. And as we were walking by, I looked in, I was like, is that Amadeus? And sure enough, it was. So we got to finally meet up with Amadeus Cavalera, whom we did an interview with or a horror movie thing with or whatever. But finally got to meet up, and he introduced us to Travis, and we ended up bullshitting for a while. It was cool to finally meet in person.
Yeah,
and that was a great way to cap off the end of the festival, because at that point Cavalera was done. There was no more FTA. Everybody went home.
Yeah.
So it was a great way for us to cap that off. Amadeus, it was a pleasure to meet you in person. Thank you for taking some time and talking to us. We got a picture that was just really neat.
And we got out of there, got back to the Airbnb, got up early, and dipped out and took the long 7-hour drive all the way back home. And yeah, we've been telling people all these stories for a while, so I mean, these memories are still fresh in our head because we had such a great fucking time.
Yep, I would hands down recommend, if you've never been to Full Terror Assault, to truck yourself out there. Prepare. Yeah. You're gonna want to stop and get food and beverages and all that shit, prior to going to Hog Rock, because there ain't shit out there. And, had we known, we would have been prepared, but we weren't. So I'm telling you to prepare yourself, but it is a goddamn good time.
Absolutely. And actually, we bought a lot of merch because it's a festival, and that's what we do. And we got a whole bunch of t-shirts, once again. Not necessarily from bands that even play there, because, of course, they had, merch that was just, like, hey, we got metal tees from all kinds. We have flags. We have, tank tops and hoodies and all that shit. Luckily, I kept it down to mostly CDs and shirts. And again, I'm going to go over the CDs in a collection update, but I'm going to kick it off with one I found. I got a Ripped to Shreds shirt. I fucking love this band. Their last album was one of my favorite albums of last year. Absolutely crushing. HM2, disgusting. This band's awesome. Every album, go get it. They're killer.
I, for a change, did not go hog wild on merch. Not that I didn't want to, because trust me, at every show I go to and at every festival I've been to, there is an overwhelming urge and desire to spend all my hard-earned money and buy shirts, because that's what I do. But anyway, I got a Full Terror Assault long sleeve that you see me wearing currently. It's got, of course, the logo on the front of it, and then all the bands on the back of it. I'm not going to get up and stand up, because I'm not going to. But yeah, it's got the full band lineup all on the back, and, I like to be able to commemorate being there, and it's a shirt I will wear all the time.
This one was from Tony. We ran into him at Heavy Hell, and he sold us these because they were sold out, or at least so we thought, but he's like, no, I got some with me. I was like, well, fucking sweet.
Yeah, we both got one. I have one as well, but yeah. So I got the Full Terror Assault shirt.
And then I got one that John got at MDF that I didn't get a chance to, so I got a Coroner shirt, Punishment for Decadence.
Actually, you get the exact same shirt I have.
I know, except now your girlfriend has it.
But the kicker is that my girlfriend has it, and I'll never see that shirt ever again.
Never again. So I'll have this, and no one's taking it from me. It's pretty awesome. Take a look at it.
Yep.
There you go.
It's great.
The last time you'll see it.
I've seen it a couple times. Other than on a hanger before, my girlfriend wears it. So great. And a couple of these shirts I haven't done laundry yet. So if they look kind of worn to you, it's because they are. It's because I like to wear the shirts I buy. But god damn it. But a new Enforced shirt.
Camo logo to
match the camo shorts I have. And then, of course, the tour dates on the back. And I especially like this because people are going to be like, well, where the hell did you go? Because there's not a Detroit or Ohio or anything remotely close to here date on this. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
And because Flesh Hoarder had such a killer set, I had to snag a Flesh Hoarder shirt, which this is a really savage design. And I think on the back it says, another form of evil humanity has coward? I don't know, man. So they put it in that font in the back, so it's a little hard to read. Conjured. That's it. Conjured. Either way, Flesh Hoarder. Awesome Texas death metal. This band fucking rules.
And none of the rest of what I bought was anybody actually at the show, and I feel bad for that, but again, my funds were limited, so of course this I had to buy because it's one of my favorite albums by Nile, Black Seeds of Vengeance. I mean, that's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
And it's such a good print too. I mean, it looks brand new. So yeah.
I mean, it might be. I think that's from like the Relapse store. Like that looks like that version. That's a fucking killer shirt. Yep. I almost bought it, but then he did.
Yep.
So yeah, but don't worry, I got plenty of other shirts. So, I mean, naturally, because Exhumed fucking slayed, I had to get an Exhumed shirt to go with my other Exhumed shirts. And I really dig this design. It's just fucking gross, but also very comical, too. And it's got all the tour dates on the back there. absolutely killer fucking show. I fucking love one of my favorite bands for that whole fest.
And I probably would have been inclined to buy an Exhumed shirt, but I already had the shirt, the long sleeve that I would have bought anyway. I already had it from the last time we saw Exhumed, so I was cool on the fact that I didn't get an Exhumed shirt. But the last one that I bought, at least, well, I did buy my girlfriend a shirt, but she has it, so I don't have it, so whatever. Bought her an Ace Fix shirt because she loves Ace Fix, so that's cool. But what I did buy was something I never thought I would get a hold of, and again, this came from Sabi, and I'm happy because it came straight from overseas, straight from the band, and just again, I never thought I would have this shirt. Dude, fucking Disma towards the megalith.
Ooh, we'll fix that.
God damn it. Yeah, because I absolutely love the shit out of this album.
It's brilliant.
It's
one of the best Death Doom albums.
One of the best Death Doom albums
so goddamn
ever.
Good.
It's so good, and I'm so happy to have this shirt. So yeah.
The rest of these shirts are on me, and well, because Psycho Stick had such a great set, I had to get a Psycho Stick shirt, and I had to get one that really reflected
sets it off.
The humorous nature. So yeah, this was just Psycho Stick fucking hates you. And they solidify it in the back with "You're the worst" and a thumbs down, and it's awesome. I love this. This band just, I don't know, they're just fucking hilarious.
Dude, all the shirts they had were gold.
The Cookie Monster one,
the Cookie Monster one, or the Ghostbusters one. I would have bought either of them if I could have. The Cookie Monster one, that was pretty on point.
And then I had to get a Full Terror Assault tour shirt with the demonic beer can, which everyone was drinking from, for damn sure. But yeah, it's got the lineup on it. I don't know if they get a chance to take off the bands that couldn't make it, but no, it looks like they're still on there. But either way, most of the bands are on there. Killer fucking shirt. And yeah, I didn't get a chance to get a Deceased shirt last time because I was like, well, I mean, I'm probably going to see him again. And I actually knew I was going to see him again. So I got a Deceased shirt, Metal Lives. Great fucking design, and then it's got all the tour dates on the back.
Nice.
And this one I just spied in the t-shirt rack for other bands.
I'm jealous.
I needed a Benediction shirt, and this is like, second, maybe third favorite one. The Grand Leveler. Amazing fucking album. I love Benediction. I mean, the good albums, there's definitely some turkeys, but this is not one of them. And even has a little quote in the back, Bathe in Misery's Eye, Death, the Grand Leveler. And bonus logo on the back, too.
That's pretty cool.
In case you didn't know, it was Benediction. But yeah, fantastic shirts, fantastic haul, fantastic fucking fest, and we're already kind of plotting and seeing if we can do it next year, maybe getting a cabin that'll save on some driving. I mean, granted, we'll probably have to go into town. Either way, it will put us right there at the fest, and maybe see if we can get some other Thrallers to come along with us.
Yeah, it should be a good time. But again, we can't gush enough, as if we already haven't done so, about Full Terror Assault. From getting lost in the fucking woods at night trying to find our Airbnb, to the crazy house with the dead guy living on the property across the street, to being that far in the middle of nowhere. That in itself was such an experience, because I've never ever been that far removed from civilization. I mean, we were legit in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, like those little memes you see, no cell phones, just people living in the moment. That was that moment.
That was it.
And that moment was fueled by booze and hallucinogens and weed and metal.
Yep.
And it was a lot of fun, and I want to go back already.
Yep, I do too. Much like, leaving, Maryland Death Fest, when you get the post-festival, like, man, this sucks, life sucks, this is fucking stupid, I have to go home. But I seriously can't stress enough how awesome Full Terror Assault was. Thank you to Tony Clem, who initially invited us out and told us how good of a time it was.
He was right.
He undersold it, dude, because it's way, way more than that.
And if you are like on the fence about this one, like you've seen this fest pop up, like, I don't know. Seriously, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, you are going to be kind of far removed from civilization, but fuck civilization. It's overrated. Go there for the metal. leave there probably having a great time and a lot of killer memories depending on how much you drink. It was just a great time, and this is a fest I urge you guys to check it out, and I think they're already getting gear spinning for next year.
Dates at least. I haven't seen any bands, but they're it's weird because they have 2 Facebook pages, one for the actual festival and then one called Full Terror Assault Friends, such as you see here, and it's the people that have been there for years on end. They're on number 8 now, and there's just a lot of like wish lists floating around. I have one out there myself, but I don't know if they how close they pay attention to that, or if they try to get bands off those wish lists. But I've seen the wish lists, and I've seen the lineups in years prior. They've got a good thing going on.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to support a lot of cool underground bands, this is another place to do it, and plus see some killer fucking headliners. Yeah, come to this fest. It's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much about how we're going to close it here.
Yep.
So if you enjoyed this long-winded, chatty video that we did here, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below at thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there, as well as on our channel, but also our store is on thrallsmetal.com, and it is open for business. We have shirts, we have hats, we have discounted shirts from previous designs now. Go check it out. If you want to get a shirt and, hat or whatever, get a combo, that is where to do it.
And of course, we've been promoting shows. October 1st at Frankie's in our hometown Toledo has Revocation, Unearth, Entheos, and High Command for $25. Dude, fucking come out. I don't know what you're doing. If you're in the area, you're going to miss a banger. And if you've never been to Frankie's, it's a pretty small venue. So seeing bigger name bands there is always really cool, because you're probably going to run into them. It's just a great experience to have. So come out to that show. We're happy to have Frankie's back. Frankie's lied dormant for like 4 years, and we didn't know what was going on. They've reopened. They're booking metal. That's fucking sweet. So come out.
And, of course, thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. I know the thank you part of the video where we just say the same shit, but I mean it every time. You guys rule. You guys keep us going. Yep. And we have a ton of content coming your way because, again, everyone's releasing albums. We're going to try to cover as many as possible. I've got a couple of other segments I'm getting ready to fucking film, and collection updates. Yeah, there's going to be a ton of content.
There's a ton coming. Yep.
Don't even worry about it.
You're not going to miss it. If you tune into this channel, you're not going to miss it. But thank you for continuing to tune in, and thank you for making this such a big part of our lives and allowing it to be a part of your lives too. That's pretty fucking neat. I don't get it, but I'm glad. Anyway, we've talked enough. Thank you to all of you, and we will catch you later.